without further ado, I am going to have Scott come up because I want to hear what he's got to say. Even though I do resumes and LinkedIn profiles, I know that I'm going to go home learning some nuggets from this guy because I've, kind of checked him out online. So I'm excited. So welcome, Scott.
Yay. Well, I just wanted to say thank you to Don and Lynn for this opportunity. And I'm hoping to get a really an opportunity to meet each and every one of you, so I'm going to make myself available. So it's really an honor and a pleasure to be here. My goal here tonight is I don't try to convince anyone that I know more than other people. I love sharing my story of how I turned something that was necessary for one of my businesses into a business of my own where I now help other people. My driving force at a core foundational level is human connection. That is why I do what I do. And in any business that is driven by other people, traditionally that owner is also driven by human connection. How many people here, by a show of hands, own a traditional brick and mortar business? By a show of hands. No one owns a business. How many people work for somebody else? Show of hands. How about we do this? Okay, so how many people have online businesses? Okay. How many people, by a show of hands, have businesses that are built upon the relationships with other people, getting more customers, consumers, that kind of thing? Okay, cool. Now, above all else, actively, so on a very consistent basis, by a show of hands, how many people use LinkedIn every single day to really connect and build? Show of hands. Okay, cool. So I'm assuming the other 27-28 people do not, and that's good. And I just want you guys to know that that's where a lot of people are. LinkedIn, for some reason, and I know this now, but I didn't know it when I first started using it. It's like this misnomer. People don't know what it is. They know what Facebook is. They know what Instagram is. I know what Twitter is, but all I know is just famous people tweet on there. I'm on there, but and I use YouTube, but LinkedIn, for me, it's been this amazing business growth journey of leveling up with other like-minded people. So before I go into the presentation, I think it's really important for you guys to learn a little bit more about me, how I got to actually being here tonight. And it actually started a long time ago. My previous career was in health and wellness. For 22 years, I was a gym owner, personal trainer, and sports nutritionist, and I did some bodybuilding on the side and competed. That was my passion. And I even shared with Todd earlier that I've always been psychologically unemployable. I've never had a boss. I've never worked for anyone else, and it was actually by accident. It was nothing that was intentional, but the backstory of how I got to where I am today, and when I speak to audiences, I always want people to get to know me on a human level, not what I do for a living, but why I do what I do for a living. Because what people care most about is why you're doing what you're doing. And how I got to what I was doing was actually from a family mishap. And there's something called a ripple effect that some people may be familiar with or not, but there's a certain point in your life, and there's a certain moment. It could be a death in the family. It could be an illness. Something happens that transcends your life, and if that moment had never happened, your life would never be the same. And this one moment for me was when I was a freshman going into my sophomore year of college. I was 18 and a half, and I was on summer break coming home, and my family, very, very tight-knit Jewish family. That's anyone that knows that. I have a very overbearing mother. I still do. I have to text her my itinerary whenever I'm traveling, and I have to text her when I land. So that's just the family that I grew up in, and I'm grateful for it. And so my father, we were barbecuing in the backyard, and he also an entrepreneur. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. And my father sat us down and he goes, I need to talk to you guys about something. And he had partnered with a company where he was managing and helping grow it. And he said, listen, he goes, there's been some trouble with the company and the federal government is involved. And I didn't, at 18, you don't really know what that is. You don't know what that means. But he said, I am cooperating and there's an opportunity and a chance that I may get off with house arrest, which I still didn't know what that meant, but went along with it. And to make a long story short, in the process of my father cooperating with the federal government and finally getting to sentencing about 6 months later, my two grandfathers stepped up and helped my father purchase a health club in Old City, Philadelphia, to have something for the family. And my dad ran it every single day. Intuitively, he knew something was not going to go in his favor. And when sentencing came, I always share this part of the story because I remember it very vividly, being in the courtroom and sitting behind my father. And on the right side of the courtroom was my own flesh and blood, family and relatives on the opposing side to my father. So I kind of knew something wasn't right and something wasn't going to go in the direction and the way that I was wanting it to. And when all was said and done, he got sentenced to 24 to 36 months in federal prison. And that was my moment. That was the moment that my life would never be the same. It thrusted me into an adult role as a child. And when my father said to me, now you have to take over the family business, I had never ran a business. This was a $250,000 a year business. I wasn't even working out. I never stepped into a gym. I was an athlete, but I was more into music, and I had a really big afro, and I was just traveling around the country listening to music. That was my passion. But as I share that, the hair came off and ended up falling out anyway, which was a blessing. I look much better without it. And I dug my toes in, and I always say to people that in life, you are always dealt hands. Sometimes those hands do not look the way that you want them to. But I can share with people that I've been dealt many hands in my life, but I have not folded one. And that's what got me here today. I learned how to be an entrepreneur. I learned how to be resilient. I learned how to be resourceful. And as I progressed, one gym turned to two gyms. And we ended up selling both gyms in 2003 for $1 million. And that was not the intention, but at 24 years old, I became a millionaire. And I continued to personal train, and we had a training company. And my father got the bug to open up another health club, which we did in 2004. And with bad investing and things I didn't know about, I found myself in late 2007, $1.5 million in debt, with liability debt, having my name on the lease as the guarantor, which a lot of people probably know what that means. If something happens, everything's on my shoulders. So I was again backed into a corner. This inevitably, years later, ended my father's and my business relationship. I uncovered some other messy things where I was selling a property and the bank took the proceeds and the sale of the house because my house was being used as collateral for the equipment of the gym. And my father and I, we actually have a wonderful relationship now. We were not meant to be business partners. We were always meant to be father and son. And that's the way that things are now. But these situations forged me and forced me to really grow up fast, but also I come back to resiliency. I always had to find a way. So in 2013, I was introduced to an interesting opportunity called network marketing, which I know some people are familiar with, Amway, those types of things. And I didn't think it was a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi. I needed a life. I was working almost 85 hours a week in my early 30s, and I was burnt out. And I had just become a father, and I needed a way to start creating other income outside of what I was doing. And I was not familiar with residual income, and I again dug my toes in, and within 2 years replaced all my income online. And this was a new concept to me. I grew up when the internet was sort of changing. Social media was not very prevalent, but it worked. And I pushed a little bit harder. And in 2016, I was actually in the financial position where I was able to close my last gym and retire from personal training, but without doing one thing first. And that last thing was when I did find out that I was the personal guarantor of this lease that had $450,000 left on it. And my father, we hadn't spoken for about a year and a half at this point. And my lawyer said, listen, you have two choices. You can continue to keep moving forward. The gym's losing $2,000 a month, or you can file for bankruptcy. And I made the difficult decision at the time to file for personal bankruptcy 3 years ago. And a lot of people hear that and they're like, you must have felt terrible. And it was actually the best day of my life. Walking out of that room when the papers were signed, I felt 20 pounds, 200 pounds lighter. I was carrying around the burden and everything of my father's business. It was his dream were the gyms and personal training, not mine. But I got my life back. I had 2 successful businesses running. And here's how LinkedIn came into the picture. In network marketing, your sole purpose is to connect with people on a real, emotional, deep level. And the more people that you can connect with, the more people that you can impact, the greater of a business you can grow. And that can be applied to any business. That's how I became a 6-figure personal trainer. And just to put that conceptually, to make 6 figures a year as a personal trainer is really difficult. That means I was working from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., hour by hour by hour, 6 days a week. And I did that for 15 years. But what I learned in that experience is that one of my really big strengths in my zone of genius is creating human connection. It's creating relatability and trust and rapport and relationship with people. So social media was changing in 2016. A lot of people were getting people to opt in for whatever they could on social media, Facebook and Instagram. And I always joke with people that Facebook is the barbecue of social media. It's where people go to hang out and they share things about their life. And that's what it is. It's a social network. And with Instagram, which I think Nancy is probably going to be speaking on at some point, this is observation, but all I see is yoga pants and sports bras. It is just pure observation. That's all I see on there. And
of course, we want to know why you're looking at yoga pants and sports bras.
It's an unintentional noticing, but it's what I notice. And so when I stumbled upon LinkedIn in 2016, I had a profile, but I didn't know what to do with it. And I'm going to get into more specifics, but this is how I got to here. So I started messaging some people. I started connecting with people, which I didn't know what any of that meant. But I started to get some really quick traction, unlike what I was doing on Facebook and other platforms. So I called a buddy of mine and I said, Joe, listen, and he was also in network marketing. I said, you got to get on LinkedIn. And I said, you need to do A, B, and C, and trust me, it's going to work. So about a week later, he shot me a text message. He goes, call me. So I called him and I said, what's up? And he goes, whatever you're doing, it's working because I have 14 appointments booked this week. And I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, what do you mean you have 14 calls? He said, you told me to do A, B, and C. So I did, and it worked. So he goes, I don't know if you have to put structure around this or make some videos or do whatever, but you should be teaching this. And 3.5 years later, I have a full-time coaching practice, a #1 best-selling book, and I'm now here to spend an evening with you guys teaching you everything that I know that has helped me that now I help other people with. I'm a very interactive trainer, so I'm going to ask for your participation if you guys are open to it. I have a big sheets of paper here because I'm going to take you guys through some exercises because I want you guys walking away from tonight not just knowing what LinkedIn is, but understanding exactly how you guys can use it for your businesses. Make sense? Are you guys excited to learn something tonight? Yeah. Okay. So, how many of you feel that there is untapped potential on LinkedIn for your specific businesses? Okay. So I'm going to come out here for a second because I want to learn more about you guys. So if you guys could shout out for me, what are some of the businesses that you have, just so I can get a sense of the room so I can provide you guys the best content? So, okay. I've worked with people from your company. Okay. So network marketing. Okay.
Scott, because they're not coming up on the mic, just repeat what they say.
Mergers and acquisitions. Editing. That's the toughest one. I was actually just speaking, not in a bad way, but there are so many financial advisors, financial planners that want to take things from where they were hundreds of years ago and get to where everything is now, but with compliance and, like you said, running everything through. So there are ways you can use LinkedIn where it's not going to affect anything in a legal way, but we'll touch on a little bit of that. Yeah. I think they want the mic.
Big network in the Delaware Valley, Villanova, and they tend to be successful if you went to Villanova. And honestly, I feel like intimidated by asking for business on LinkedIn. I thought LinkedIn was like if you need to get
a job. Yeah, that's what
I'm saying. And this is like a whole new horizon for me tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be good because there's a reason why it's one of my favorite platforms, and I know Lynn loves it. Todd uses it. Nancy uses it. A lot of people in here use it, and you're going to learn why. There's a huge opportunity on there. Anybody else want to share what they do? Handmade furniture. Now, are you local, national? Is it just like as far as like delivering like here, or are you just local based? Do you have clients all over the country, or is it more central to where you are? Beautiful. Awesome. So real estate investing? Awesome.
Specifically for apartments.
Yeah, I have a program for that. So looking for people to join the firm to grow it. Right. Okay, cool. And they're the net worth of people on LinkedIn, which I'm going to get into, is actually optimal for you guys.
Repeat what you said, please.
Financial services, but from a recruiting standpoint.
Okay.
Web design. Anybody else? Melaleuca? Okay. Amway? Yeah. Okay. Promotional products. Love it. Anybody else want to share? Okay. Nice.
Please repeat that.
Cybersecurity. Okay. So, yes. Mm-hmm. Consulting. Okay. News and opinion. Okay.
And for some people that are silent in this room,
English accent reduction consulting.
Yes, and real estate and video production.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How many people are afraid to share what they do? I'm kidding.
Can you repeat what Lynn said?
What's that?
Can you repeat what? I'm going to keep asking you the same damn
how many
question.
people are afraid to share what they do?
No. What did Lynn say? So we have.
Lynn said, I said it. It's English accent reduction consulting and real estate, video editing, video production. Okay, cool. So, and you can continue to ask too. I'm very coachable.
I promise I will.
So, what we're going to go over is 3 secrets and 7 tips, but I'm going to walk you guys through some exercises because the potential on LinkedIn, in my opinion, is absolutely endless. It's, Lynn said, I have almost 27,000 connections. I've grown that in 3 years, and it happens very fast. My inbox at all times has about 80 to 90 people looking to connect with me. But the big thing is, just by a show of hands so I know, how many people have the potential to have a global business? Show of hands. Really high. Okay. But everyone, show of hands. What's that?
Give us a count.
I think there was about 12 people. And then how many by a show of hands have a national business? You can go outside of local, including global. Okay. So almost a whole room. Okay. So why should you use LinkedIn? It attracts the right people. So again, this can be applied to whether you're in network marketing, you have a traditional business, you have an online business. Everyone has the right people that they want to work with. You don't want the low-hanging fruit. You want to be able to network with the right people, and you want really to attract the right person to your business. But you can grow a huge network quickly. And this is what I shared with you guys, that within 3 years, I went from 500 plus connections, which, as Lynn said, is the ideal place to begin, to almost 27,000 connections. And everybody here has that same potential and opportunity to do that, bearing you're doing the necessary things on there, treating it like a social media platform, not like Facebook. So here's the big thing. You can become more visible on LinkedIn than any other platform right now. It's number 1. Everyone thinks that just because Facebook has 3.2 billion users, it's most visible. So Gary Vaynerchuk, is anybody familiar with Gary V? Yeah. So Gary V has a great podcast called The Gary V Experience. And about 4 weeks ago, he did a podcast dedicated to the shift that he's been making in his business. Now, Gary said himself that 2019 is the year of LinkedIn, and he's been shifting his efforts and all of his visibility on there because what he found organically, what's happening on LinkedIn right now with the engagement, it's where Facebook was 5 to 7 years ago. You can't compete with LinkedIn right now, and there's a few reasons why, which I'm going to get into. Now, just a little bit more about me. I am part of the Forbes Coaching Council. I'm a contributor for lead generation. 2 books. My first book was more of a self-development, personal development journey called Good Guys Always Win. It tells a little bit more deeper about my story. And my most recent one that hit bestseller I have here tonight is the LinkedIn book for network marketing. Speaker and coach, 5+ years of network marketing experience, 22 years of sales and coaching, father and soon to be husband. So what problem does LinkedIn solve for business owners? So I think everyone in here has a warm market. So how many people have been in business for over 5 years by a show of hands for what you're doing right now? How many people are just getting started with their business by a show of hands? About 6 or 7 people. How many 10 years plus? Show of hands. About 4 or 5 people. Okay. So initially when you're doing your business, financial services, network marketing, whatever it is, website, the normal thing to do is to plug into your warm market. It's to reach out to people that you know. Talk to those that you may feel would say yes right away. Now, some of the time that works. Some of the time it doesn't work. So there's a book that I read very early on, and it's called Go for No. Show of hands if you've ever heard of it. About 3 people. Order that book tonight and read it. It's by Andrea Waltz and Richard Fenton. It was written in the late 1990s. This book changed my life. There's a couple books. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles is my Bible, Nancy and I's Bible. That's what we read all the time. But as far as in doing business, yes is the destination, but no is how you get there. So in any business where it requires a transaction with another person, whether it's them investing into you or something, a service, a good, a product, you are going to hear 10 times more no's than you will yeses. But most people, they don't fall in love with the word no. And I did. And when you can fall in love with the word no, the yeses start to show up, because you actually look forward to the no, because you know that right behind that no is a yes. Now, you're not having enough conversations. So I'm a doer. I don't wait for people to come to me. I go to them. And Nancy can attest to this, that I have a little bit of a crazy work ethic. It's hard for me to shut it down at times. I could literally do what I do all day long and sleep for 2 or 3 hours and get up and do it again, because that's just how passionate I am about what I do. But this is a numbers game. No matter what the business, no matter what the transaction, the person that talks to the most people is always going to win. Always. But again, you can't wait for people to knock on your door. You have to knock on those people's doors. So there was a great book that I read very early on called The Strangest Secret. And it's also an audio. It's by Earl Nightingale. Has anybody heard of The Strangest Secret? A couple of people? 3 or 4? It's, if you go on YouTube and just search the Strangest Secret, it's a 35-minute audio. And Earl talks about the fact that you just have to get the numbers to fall in your favor. And he said, what you think about most often is what you become. And that one quote really stuck with me, because I think a lot of the negative self-talk that we have about what we're doing sometimes dictates the success that we truly want, but we don't get it because of what we're saying to ourselves. The other thing is you don't have enough organic engagement on social media. Now, this sometimes can be a little bit of a touchy subject, because there's a lot of people that do paid advertising. They do Facebook ads, they do Instagram ads. I've messed around with a little bit of everything, but the one thing that I love about LinkedIn is that I have never had to pay $1 for it. What I've done, the 27,000 connections plus, the engagement, the business, I've done with the regular version of LinkedIn. I have never had premium. So and here's the thing. So I keep always getting that notification. Do you want to upgrade? 7 people have viewed your profile today. That's creepy. I don't want to know who's viewed my profile that day. If they want to learn about me, they'll send me a connection request and send me a message and we can talk. So I stay in my lane. So speaking on whether premium is or is not right for you, I've never used it. I've never had it. I've never had a need for it. So my program is built on the basic version of LinkedIn.
Scott?
Yes, sir.
Can I comment on that for a minute?
Please.
So we've had in this room, I don't know how many workshops and discussions on that very topic. If you're 30 years or younger, I don't know how old you are, but I assume you're over 30.
I just turned 40.
Okay, so you're over 30. If you're 30 years or young, and I'd like to ask the audience if they agree, if you're 30 years or younger, the idea of having an actual phone or in-person conversation scares the shit out of them.
It actually,
and all they want is a click or follow or like. We discussed this on the phone. They want their entire life to come through that little black box without ever talking to a human.
You'd be surprised.
I am not surprised. I'm quite.
Everyone is scared shitless to talk to people. Most of my clients are 35 and up. And they are all scared. I can't tell you how many messages I get from my clients. They're like, somebody wants to actually talk to me on the phone, because it's not even the people that are under 30. So here's what I want to talk about.
Well, before you go on to that
Yes.
part, just so I can finish my point, and I'll
Please.
shut up. What I'm getting at is, if your model is this organic growth, which obviously you're going to talk about, it presupposes that your client or your your coachee is willing to have that kind of a human personal interaction. And I ask for a show of hands. How many people are willing to do that in this room? I bet you it's a very
Show of hands. How many people would like to talk to more people in? Okay,
It's
human
about
connection.
half. About half.
It's more than half.
All right, but not all.
So how many people don't want to talk to people? Show of hands.
Between desire and action, though,
Yeah.
there's a lot of us that would love to have conversations all day, but we're not making conversations all day.
Right.
So there's a difference.
There is a difference.
Jay, please use the microphone so we can hear your conversation.
If you turn it on, it'd work. I just said that there's a huge difference between desire. His question was, who desires to have conversations? And I desire to be having conversations with people all day long, but that is not my behavior, and that's just a point of difference.
It's a great point. So I'll rephrase the question. How many people are willing to do what is required to have more conversations? Show of hands. So you're teetering now. So, Don, to your point, it's not anyone under 30 years old that is just looking for that inbox to go off and have someone just opt in and they never have to talk to them. What is being taught today on social media, at all these conferences, is how to automate everything. But at the bottom line, my core foundation, there is one aspect of every single one of your businesses that cannot be automated, and that's human connection. And if you go too far away from it, then exactly, Don, what you said, you forget how to talk to people. So I have done my due diligence and my part to never lose what I love most.
But the skill to have that human interaction successfully takes years of training. It does. Unless you have some blessing from God.
I mean, there's a lot of thoughts of that, but I think by a show of hands, how many people here are parents? Show of hands. Almost everybody. So my son will be 7 in September, and he's my mentor. He's my greatest teacher, because he shows me what I was like when I was 7, meaning he wants to learn things. He wants to communicate with people. He's willing to go up and talk to anyone. Every single one of us, at a certain point in our lives, we had that same skill. Some people maintained it because that's all I know. I don't know any different because it's what I've been doing my entire life. But depending upon maybe something that happened in your life, you get away from talking to people. It could be because you're sitting in a cubicle and you're just doing stuff online. And in entrepreneurship, it can be a very, very lonely place because you end up just talking to a computer screen all day. But anything that was once learned at any point in your life can be relearned at any other point if you want to learn it. Business is a choice. Connection is a choice. Growth is a choice. So for people to say that they don't want to talk to other people, they're basically choosing not to want to talk to other people. For me, my business is built upon other human beings. So I can't stop. And I'm not going to stop because that's what fills me every single day. So everyone, no matter you're 20, 30, 60 years old, everyone is being affected by what is being taught and seen on social media right now, which is doing things quick, fast, easy, simple, and you're going to make a ton of money, which is bullshit. I tell people all the time, if you want to get rich quick, go to the local gas station, buy some scratch-offs, because you'll have a much easier time doing it that way. So Les Brown, who's one of my favorite speakers, says those that take the easy road end up living a hard life. And those that are willing to take the hard road will live an easy life. And I'm all about ease. I really am. I'm all about not cutting any corner short, but I'm all about doing more than most so I can have more than most, so I can do more than most. Does that make sense, guys? So people stopped reaching out to you. And this is the big thing for me, no matter what the business, you end up talking to the same people over and over and over again. So here's the power of LinkedIn is that to have the best business, you have to have the biggest network. You can't rely on the people that you know. You can't rely on the people that are in your cell phone. You can't rely on your family or your friends. You have to go outside of the people that you know. And tonight is the most perfect example of me getting outside that zone. Because a gentleman that I worked with, Matthew Zimman, who was a referral from another friend of mine in a network marketing company that we're in, who is going to be doing work with Nancy, referred Nancy to Lynn. And then Lynn had a great conversation with Nancy and found out that she loved LinkedIn. And she goes, well, you should talk to my fiance. That's what he does. And now I'm here. So as long as you're growing your sphere of influence, and it's not about being an influencer. I feel like, in all honesty, the word entrepreneur for a long time was really, really overplayed. And Gary Vee used to say people that call themselves entrepreneurs is they're just jobless living in their parents' basement. But I feel like influencer is now being overused. What is an influencer? And I actually saw something online the other day where there's people out there charging other people money on how to be a social media influencer, which I think is like a jumbo shrimp. That's just like ridiculous. Like teaching someone how to influence others. You don't pay to learn how to influence others. You influence others by being yourself. Whether people are going to love your message or hate your message, you have to stay true to yourself. Now, we're going to go through a lot, and I want you guys to ask questions. So I'm just going to go over the simplicity of LinkedIn, its effectiveness for business growth, creating more leads, your profile, and I gave Don some stuff that he's going to be sending to you guys. It's a link to download a free infographic on how to optimize your profile. So he will be sending that out to all you guys, along with where you can get my book if you want a copy, or not a paperback, but Kindle, which Jay bought. And also, if someone wants to schedule a free 15-minute discovery call with me, there's a link for that as well. How to personally brand yourself, the proper way to message new people, because by a show of hands, how many people that have been on LinkedIn have gotten those huge drunkalog messages that are paragraph after paragraph, and they're having you go to links and schedule here and watch this video? There definitely is a right and wrong way to connect with people, and that's what we're going to go over. Using the automated messages, which is a way to keep in touch with your contacts, leaning into the fear, and if you use this consistently, it will create massive results. So LinkedIn is simple. So basically what I created, I worked with one of my clients, and she has a traditional business, but also an online-based business. And she just loved the straightforward how to use LinkedIn, because it is simple. People just make it very confusing because they think it's Facebook and Instagram, but it's not. But it is a more powerful tool because you can do so much more. Now, it's effective for business building. So this is an online client, husband and wife that I worked with, and they had no LinkedIn profile before working with me. And they signed up, and within a few months, they had 1,500 connections. They had 18 new people into their organization. And that can happen to anybody. And more leads than time. So Larry is a client of mine from Canada, and he's in his twilight career. So he spent 35 years in law enforcement, and he started doing online coaching after he was done. And he basically said he was just struggling, just writing in the dust in his book, and basically he had to start to flap the dust off because of all the leads that were coming in. So it really does create more leads than time. So something that my mom always told me and still reminds me, and she always lives by this, she says, facts are friendly. So what I'm going to be going over with you guys are facts. These are not things that I made up. These are things that I have done research on. I've read blog after blog after blog after website to really find out why people should be using LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, you are allowed 30,000 possible organic unpaid connections. And that is local national or global, depending upon your business. So by a show of hands, how many people could benefit from having 30,000 brand new connections? Everybody. Exactly. That's what's Facebook only allows you 5,000 quote unquote friends, but they're not really your friends. They're people that you maybe haven't spoken to in 50 years and they went to high school or you whatever. But they're considered your friend. And does anybody know why you're only allowed 5,000 friends on Facebook? Because it's a social network. So when this platform was created by Mark Zuckerberg, it was to, basically connect with hot chicks that he was at Harvard with. And the way that he did it was he wanted to create a safe and private forum for people to connect with each other. So when it went global, he still wanted to keep that privacy. So that's why you're only allowed 5,000 friends, and then the follow feature then where people can just follow you, which I still think is kind of creepy that people are just following you and then they poke you, which I still don't know what that means. I don't want to be poked. So you need to be on a platform that allows you to grow a large network. So here's another one. Money mindset is everything. And in any business, no matter whether it's a traditional business, if it's an online business, a network marketing, a coaching practice, the more that you can connect with people that have a good money mindset, they're going to see the value of what you're bringing to the marketplace. There's no convincing. The average income of people on Facebook and Instagram is $30,000 a year or less. The average income globally for someone on LinkedIn is $100,000 a year or more. So these are people that see the value, and for the financial people, that's huge because people that have wealth want to create more wealth. The average age, someone on LinkedIn is 30 to 55 years old, compared to that of Facebook and Instagram, which is 18 to 29 years old. You guys can take pictures. I'm actually going to send the presentation to Don, which he's going to give to you guys. So you guys are going to have all the slides. Now, so socialmediatoday.com is a great blog that I follow, and they actually did a 6-month study for organic unpaid lead generation comparing Facebook to LinkedIn. And they found that over time, LinkedIn was 277% more effective for lead generation than Facebook. Now, my fiance has gone down that rabbit hole of trying to figure out Facebook ads and that whole language. And how many people have tried Facebook ads by a show of hands? About 5 or 6 people. How many people have gotten frustrated with Facebook ads by same people? Yeah, because it's very confusing. It's very frustrating. I am all about keeping things as organic and as unpaid as possible, because I don't believe that you should have to pay to connect with another human being. Yes.
So that statistic of 277%, is that B2B or B2C or the aggregate of all?
Aggregated all together. So it's B2C, B2B. So they basically did a study along the platform of businesses and individuals that were on there.
Right.
Does Reid Hoffman know your philosophy of paying for LinkedIn?
Who?
The owner of LinkedIn, or the founder of LinkedIn.
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
yeah, Microsoft bought them out about 3 years ago.
okay.
So.
Well, anyway, just
But there's a lot of people that, and here's what I do love about LinkedIn is that everyone uses it in a way that best suits them. And there's a lot of people that abuse LinkedIn for various different reasons. And then they come back to me and they're like, why did this happen? I said, well, I told you not to do that. And there is a thin line on LinkedIn. There's ways to definitely get in trouble and get blocked and get kicked off. But if you are a consistent contributor on that platform, they will consistently reward you. I actually got a notification today that I had one of the top trending posts in the hashtag leadership hashtag on LinkedIn. And it was basically just the meaning of leadership. And that's why this platform is so powerful. Again, I think LinkedIn is a business. They make a lot. I mean, Microsoft owns them. They just hit the $1 trillion valuation mark about 6 weeks ago. So they are not hurting. But you have to understand, Mark Zuckerberg had to turn on the Facebook ad feature. And for people that don't know, Facebook makes $2.5 billion a year of profit from people with business pages that don't know what they're doing as far as ads and campaigns. They make a profit of $2.5 billion. Now, LinkedIn, there's ads, but Gary Vee talks about it has the worst CPC on social media. You do not want to pay for ads on LinkedIn at all. Premium, I mean, people pay for it. People pay for Sales Navigator. I think LinkedIn serves the purpose for whatever the person that's on there for. The way that I use it, it's serving my purpose, and that's serving people. So everyone is on there for a different reason. Now, the one thing that I do love about LinkedIn is that the network that you can build, you can search by city, by state, by country, by job title, by company, past or present. So again, I'm going to go through a little bit of an exercise with you guys, but the reason why I wanted to do this is because we're going to talk about it a little bit later, defining your business avatar. You can find exactly who you want on LinkedIn. Because you have to understand, when Microsoft bought them out, it's just like any other search engine. It's just like Google. It's just like Bing or Yahoo. People go to that search bar and they search for whatever they want to search for. And they could be searching for you. So with your profile, you guys are going to be getting this free download. But just to go over it really quickly with you guys, you have to fill out every section of your profile if there's something to put there. So your experience section. And obviously you can move around the tiles to see what you want, but you should have any past experiences in there that you have. And I tell people, I don't care if you were a bartender for a day, a week, a month, or a year. If you did it and it's valid for what you do, put it in there, because again, there's SEO embedded on LinkedIn, and I don't have to, I mean, everybody in here probably knows what that means. It's search engine optimization. So the more that your profile is optimized, so case in point, there's an executive coach that I'm working up in Canada with, and she is a transition coach. So she was in HR for about 15 years, and she transitioned into coaching. So she wants to teach other female entrepreneurs how to transition out of a business that they're not passionate about anymore. So I went through her profile with her, and we made some changes, put some keywords in there, and within 4 hours, she went from appearing in 59 searches to 484 in 4 hours. So if you think that people aren't searching for people like you, they are. You just have to have the right things on your profile. And again, this infographic will go over it more in detail, but having your education, having your volunteer experience, having your licenses and certifications, every single aspect of what you can do on LinkedIn, you have to fill out. Now, the About section is something that I'm really passionate about. The About section, a lot of people just put a lot of stuff there. Now, you can do what you want, but this is my suggestion. For the About section, you always want to put things in the About section about why you're doing what you're doing. Not that you're a financial advisor, a financial planner, or a web designer. That's what you do. Always let the people know in your network why you are doing what you're doing. Because when you can unzip yourself to your network, because they do come through your profile, but when they can get a better sense of who you are as a human being, instead of just a business professional, it's going to make you more relatable. The more relatable you are, the more likely they're going to want to connect with you, talk to you, and potentially pass business back and forth. So just like I mentioned that Facebook and Instagram are considered the barbecues of social media, LinkedIn is a global networking event every day you log on. So just like this, but every day that you log on, it's a global opportunity to network with other people out there where you can pass business back and forth. Now, there's a recommendation section on LinkedIn, and Lynn is familiar with this, but so I've gathered about 330 written recommendations of clients that I've worked with, and I call this the Better Business Bureau of LinkedIn. So if you're looking for credibility, if you're looking for the professionalism, does this person know what they're doing? Make sure that you gather as many personal written recommendations as possible. So colleagues that you worked with, past or present, clients that you worked with, past or present, people that you worked with, past or present, ask them to write you a recommendation. Now, your business avatar. Relatable stories connect. This is what it's all about. So you need to put yourself in the shoes of either the consumer or the person that you're looking to connect with. Because when you're on the phone with someone, the one of the greatest things that you can do is to create similar pain points. So for me, my background is in health and wellness. I can talk to any gym owner, personal trainer under the sun because I know their pain. I know exactly what they've been through in business. So whatever your business, your product, or your service is, you know the problem that you are solving with your product, good, or service. So always speak to those people when you're on the phone with them and build a network around people that you can serve. Does that make sense, guys? Now, once you create that bond between you and that person, rapport and trust is formed. Now, show of hands, how many people have a lot of repeat business because of the personal touch and the communication that they build with their clientele? Yeah, so 6, 7 people. But they say that most online businesses, if they build rapport and trust correctly, they have a 77% returning customer rate because of that. They're going to get referrals and they're going to get more business. So when you build rapport and trust with your networks, it's paramount. Now, we're going to go into the biology section of today's presentation. So, be a salmon in a world of fish. So, if someone wants to grab a microphone, what is something that you guys know that salmon do that most fish swim upstream? This is what my business is built around. Everyone in business today is doing the same thing they've done year after year after year, expecting something different to change. It's like Groundhog's Day. And then you start losing the passion and the fire because then you feel like something isn't working. But just imagine you just turn around one day and you start swimming the other way. Because right now, what people are doing online or even B2B or just belly to belly, everyone is fishing in an overcrowded ocean right now. It's a red ocean. When you can simply turn around, go the other way, and start fishing in a crystal clear blue sea, where you can see your toes at the bottom. The potential that each one of you has on LinkedIn, in my humbled opinion, is endless. So everyone is looking to leave those footprints of success for other people to follow. Every single one of you could do that if you want to do that. But it's a choice. Yes.
Something just resonated with me that's unbelievable. I don't know if you knew what you even said there, but so 30-second elevator speech, right? The purpose of an elevator speech is to provoke a response. If I said to someone in an elevator, "What do you do?" and I say, "I'm a salmon in a world of fish," that's going to provoke a question, which then will create a conversation, which then will create an appointment.
You got it.
You're a rock star. I love it.
It's not rocket science, but I appreciate that very much. And it's the truth. You know, one of the greatest questions that you can ask another individual is, "Hi, how are you?" That's networking 101. Because they're either going to say, "Good," conversation's done. I use this all the time on planes. Whenever I'm sitting next to someone I don't know, "Hey, how you doing?" "Good." I'm not talking to them the entire flight. Or if they say, "Good, how you doing?" "Good." And then we start conversation. There was a flight to California. I talked the entire flight with someone to California, and that's a long flight. It was like 6 hours.
I hate guys like you.
Thank God for the middle seat. A month later, she reached out to me because we became friends on Facebook from there, and she actually ended up hiring me for some business services. So you don't know by just asking someone how they are, what it can do for your business. And she actually has sent me about 3 or 4 clients. You attract people by what message you have on social media. If you don't think people are watching what you're doing, so let me get a sense of this. How many people, by a show of hands, use social media in some way, shape, or form, personal, professional, every single day? How many people do not use social media, by a show of hands? Wow, that's impressive. Cybersecurity, yeah. You're on the other side of the wall. So the fact is that you can attract people by the message of what you have to say. And here's the thing. I was driving up here and my best friend from childhood texted me. He goes, "Crush it tonight." Now, I've posted about it on social media. He didn't like or comment or share or do anything, but he's watching what I'm doing. So people don't necessarily have to engage with you on social media. They're watching. By a show of hands, how many people have gone to social gatherings and they start sharing things about your life that you didn't know they knew because they saw it on social media? Oh, I saw you went here. I saw you went to dinner here. Has anybody ever experienced that? So everyone's watching what you're doing. So be very mindful about the content that you're putting out there. So everyone has a tribe, whether it's people that you're looking to partner with for a business or to bring people into a business, a client, a customer. In my opinion, LinkedIn is the best way to find those people because you can specifically search and target those people. So messaging. This is probably the easiest thing that I teach, but the hardest thing for people to understand. So when you message people on LinkedIn, and this is literally a message that I send to people, you state their name. Obvious, right? "Hey, Nancy, great to connect with you." So you always state their name first. Second, you tell them why you wanted to connect with them without mentioning any opportunity or sales pitch or elevator, anything. You just want to connect. Tell that you're also an online business manager. Would love to hear how your business is going. Then you finish by asking a question of when they can connect. Anytime later this week for a call. You state their name, reason for reaching out, finish with a question. So always remember, in business, questions always lead to answers. So if you make a statement, it ends the conversation. So, yes.
Question. Can you say how many people actually respond? Do you have an average rate?
I do.
These messages?
So sending a message like that, I always tell people that three things happen. They say, "Yes, let's talk," "No, thank you," or "Nothing at all." So typically about 33% of the time that's going to work. There's been times where I've sent 5 or 6 messages and 4 of the 6 people have written back, "Yes, let's talk." Now, not everyone says, "Yes, let's talk." There's 3 yeses. There's "Yes, let's talk." "Yes, can you be more specific," or "What do you mean?" Or "Yes, why don't you just email me whatever you want to talk about?" Now, traditionally, the latter of the 2, "What do you want to talk about? Can you send some information?" They're going to keep following up with question after question after question. I call these people ask-holes. They just ask, 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 ask. So I don't have time to convince anyone to get on the phone with me. So I bless and release. The person that's going to want to talk to you, they're going to be open right away. They're going to say, "Yes, great to be connected to you too. Let's talk later." So the long-winded answer is typically about 30 to 40%. You're going to get a positive response rate because you're not trying to sell them. Everyone is sick and tired of being sold on all social media. And it's weird. People are almost, when I get on the phone, they're like, "Wow, you didn't even try to sell me anything. You just wanted to connect." Well, yeah, that's what LinkedIn is for. It's to connect to see if there can be business passed back and forth, or maybe there's a solution that I have that you could use, or maybe you have someone you can introduce me to in your network. So no connection is ever dead on LinkedIn, and I'm going to go over that. And that's what I love about this platform. So let me go back. I'm jumping ahead. So again, this is how you want to craft that message. So by a show of hands, how many people feel they can do this? Show of hands. Okay, cool. Perfect. Now, the automated messages. So for what a lot of people don't know is that as you build your network, and this is what I love about LinkedIn, every morning, LinkedIn will scan all of your connections. And what LinkedIn will do in the little notification section, there's a little bell. It'll say, "Hey, 7 people are celebrating a birthday today. Say happy birthday. These 6 people are celebrating work anniversaries. Congratulate them." So these little messages. So back to your point about how many people don't respond. So here's the cool thing. If people don't respond to an initial message, they may respond to a happy birthday message. They may respond to a congrats on the new role or a new job. And then what you can do is, if you get a response, you can wrap back around. So if I send a connecting message to a new connection and they don't respond, they read it, they don't respond, they don't say anything. But 3 months later, it's their birthday. I wish them a happy birthday. And I click happy birthday. I'm all about speed and efficiency. And they respond back and they're like, thank you so much. I can say, you are so welcome. I'm not sure if you saw my message from a few months ago, but would love to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing, share more about what I'm doing to see if there's a way where we can do business together. Anytime for a call. Yes, Don.
Question. The happy birthday message, are those to the people who have already agreed to, they're already connected to you?
Correct. The only time you will get notifications for these are your first connections, not your second connections, only your first connections. Great question.
Grab the mic, please.
Or pass the mic.
Or pass the mic, right.
So the one thing I don't like just about clicking happy birthday or whatever is, to me, that's like scripted and kind of impersonal. And it's like people are going to get a lot of those messages. And if you want the person to connect, I think you at least got to say, happy birthday, we haven't chatted for a while, or, add something else in there to kind of personalize it to elicit a response.
I could totally understand why you feel that way, but you'll be very surprised how many people get those notifications and they scroll right past them and never hit that button. I can't tell you how many people just appreciate a simple happy birthday or a simple congratulations. You don't have to put any long-winded message, but there are so many people on LinkedIn that literally get those same notifications and don't click happy birthday. So sometimes simplicity is the best way to get a conversation with someone. So just try it. Seriously, it works. Ken, you had a question?
Kind of answer.
Okay.
Scott, when I say happy birthday, I just write, hope you're doing something fun today, and that's all I do.
Yeah, I mean, and they have, on the mobile version, they have a GIF feature. If anyone follows me on social media, I'm like huge on GIFs. I send like little animated pictures to people. So you can do that too. So you can actually add your own personal favor if you want to. But again, my thing is speed and efficiency. So I want to touch as many people as I can, but doing something like that is also fine, which you can actually copy that message and you can paste that every time when you say happy birthday to make that. Yes.
Have you automated your happy birthday responses yet? So you don't even have to click them.
I have not. So we can talk.
It'll cost you.
Yeah. Listen, you get the flow of money, you got to keep it going. So if you get a response back, you can wrap back around, and this method can create more leads than time with everything else that you can do on there. So leaning into the fear. So Robin Sharma, who is another big influence of mine, 2 great books, if you want to write them down. His first book was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And the story behind how he got that book even published, it became a New York Times bestseller, just a wonderful book. And one of his most recent books was The Leader Who Had No Title, which I also love. And he's got a great podcast. And he's from Canada, he's from Vancouver, and he always talks about leaning into the fear. And he always uses skiing as a reference. So when he's skiing, he always asks his audience, and I've seen him speak, and it was incredible. He says, you're a downhill skier in the Olympics. What happens if you let the fear take over and you lean back in your boots? Who knows what happens? You wipe out. So with anything like LinkedIn that's brand new to you, you have to lean into the fear. You want to talk to people. And a lot of people on social media are posting and praying. They're pushing out content and praying that someone reaches out for their help. And you can't sit, you're basically waiting at a bus stop where there is no bus on that route anymore. You have to be in action. And again, what was once uncomfortable becomes comfortable. So for the parents in the room, how many times did you give your kids an opportunity to learn how to walk and they just fell too many times and you said, just stop, just quit, just give it up. It's not going to happen. Never. They fall down, you pick them back up. It's also just like riding a bike. You start with training wheels, then you take the training wheels off, mom or dad holds the back of the seat, pushes you down, and then eventually lets go. And you may fall off, but you have the confidence to get back up because it's not uncomfortable anymore. So with LinkedIn, if you use it properly. Now, again, I am not here to convince or to do anything more to say that my method works the best. It works for me and it works for a lot of my clients because it's built around the foundation of human connection. If you want to talk to more humans in an organic and very, very systematic way, then you would like this too. This one platform can solve all of your business issues, whether it's a lack of money, whether it's a lack of resources or contacts or conversations, because it is the cure-all for not having people to talk to. Now, before I open it up to questions, there's two things I want to leave you guys with. And these are two things that I live by. Your failures will always open the doors to your successes. So the quicker that you can fail, the quicker you're going to learn how to succeed. And number two is that what you guys have to remember at the end of the day, success doesn't know age, it doesn't know gender, it doesn't know any of that. Because there are millions upon millions upon millions of ways of how to succeed today, and there's still only one way of how to fail, and that's to quit. So if you never quit, you will succeed. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Scott. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Questions, please. Yes, please take the microphone.
So I do web design, and I get asked by a ton of people on LinkedIn, basically who want to subcontract they're from India and they're looking to do my website work for me.
Right.
And a ton of them. And I typically don't connect with them because I did a few and then you get inundated, and that's all I have. And so for me, that's not really a good connection, but some people say you should connect with everybody.
Well, there's two trains of thought. So can you connect with everyone? Yes. Do you have to talk to them? No. So what you have to understand, every connection that you get is a network. Because in the My Network area of LinkedIn, you have something called your second connections, or the people you may know. So if that first connection, that person that you accept, they may not be the best fit for you, but if they have 5,000 connections, you've just gained 5,000 second connections, and they're put into that pool of people that you're then one click away from connecting with. So it may not be that person, but it could be someone in their network that could be the right avatar for you. So the only, and I'll tell you this, the only people that I do not accept connections from, and this is just from experience, is the people in China selling steroids. And I think everyone has gotten those, like we got cheap HGH and steroids, like those are the only, and I know they're just fake accounts. So I don't accept any of those connections. But to your point, you can accept any connection, but you don't have to talk to them. But definitely, they're not, just think about it. If you have 1,000 connections and those 1,000 connections all have 1,000 connections, you have 1 million people within your network. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so you don't have to talk, but again, it's a suggestion. You don't have to do it, but I'm a numbers person. So you're one person away, one connection away from that right person that you may want to connect with. Yes.
Thanks. You have 27,000 connections?
Yes.
Those are first level?
First connections.
So what percentage of them did you initiate, and what percentage are you respond, basically saying, okay, I'll connect? I'm curious.
I would say it's probably 70-30 myself initiating.
So you initiate
Yeah.
that many.
I'm active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you find the ones that you want to connect with?
Through the searching capability. So when I was building my network marketing business, I wanted to connect with other gym owners and personal trainers. So I would type in gym owner and I would start connecting with them. I would search personal trainer. If my opportunity was opening up in a different location, I could filter by country. So I started connecting with personal trainers in the UK and I started talking to them. So LinkedIn gives you that ability to search and target exactly who you want.
You haven't talked at all about groups or posting articles or things like that.
So as far as posting goes, I always recommend people putting out one piece of content a day. It doesn't matter if it's a video, if it's an article, it's a post. Groups, what I have found is they are most effective for building trust, because you'll notice if you're in groups, there's a lot of people posting, but there's not a lot of engagement. But what I have found is that when I start discussions in groups, I just leave people better. I go in there, I throw a little, a business tip or an inspirational tip. And what happens is those people will then go to your profile, check you out, and send you a connection request. So it's a way of taking the people within your groups and make them a first connection. And as far as posting goes, writing articles, the suggestion that I always have for people is write something that's thought-provoking in a positive fashion that gives people a tangible takeaway and a call to action at the end. You want to hear from your audience.
So in terms of posting,
yes,
what are the elements of a post? And also, what about memes? Are memes any good for posting?
So I have a simple theory that LinkedIn is not Facebook. So memes are okay for other platforms. I don't like when people treat LinkedIn like Facebook at all. So I would stay away from memes personally, because you do want to have some professionalism. As far as the context of a post, if anyone follows me on LinkedIn, I always do some sort of inspirational quote that I create myself on a great app called WordSwag. WORDSWAG. It actually allows you to create your own quotes. So instead of quoting Eleanor Roosevelt or Benjamin Franklin, you can quote yourself. The other thing you can do above that, you always want to add content to the post itself. So I always suggest anywhere between 3 to 6 lines of content above the post. And what you're going to notice is before you post, so you have your post, you have your content, LinkedIn will automatically give you suggestive hashtags that go along with the content. So you don't have to type out the hashtags. You literally can just click based off of the content that you're putting out there. So it's very easy to do. And to your point of video content or articles, I like to repurpose a lot of my content. I reuse a lot of the same stuff because everyone needs to understand that the people that are engaging and seeing your posts are different from the people that are engaging with your articles, that are engaging with your videos. So one post you can turn into a video or you can turn into an article. So you don't have to create more work for yourself. I write one good piece of thought-provoking content. I'll turn it into a video a couple of days later, and I'll turn it into an article a couple of days after that, and even a discussion in one of the groups. Make sense? Cool.
So, Scott,
yes,
we had a brief conversation, of course, in preparation for this meeting.
Yes.
And I was telling you about the tool that I use called Duck's Soup.
Yes.
For those of you who are not familiar, it's a third-party add-on that allows you to extract the full profile of a person on LinkedIn, including their email address, if they have that in their profile. So you saw at the beginning of this meeting, by show of hands, not a single person found out about this meeting, to the best of my understanding, by way of LinkedIn. And I know you sent it out to your LinkedIn group. I know Lynn did, and I did, and maybe some others did. And yet most people showed up because they got an email. So I use Duck Soup, and I extract email addresses, and I add those. Sometimes I send private messages to them. Sometimes I just include them in my my general mailing list. And of course, they always have the opportunity to opt out. So my question to you is, it's not about clicks, likes, and follows. It's about actual results. There were no I'm not being negative. I'm just stating a fact. You said facts were important, right?
Facts are friendly.
Facts are what?
Facts are friendly.
Facts are friendly. So the fact is, no one here came because I think of a LinkedIn, of learning about it through LinkedIn, but they mostly came because of email. Help me understand. What am I missing?
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Okay. So here's what I know.
Here's what you know.
Here's what I know. Meetup groups, chambers, Latip, BNI, the number one driver for those in-person type meetups are email. Most people now are in a world of the digital world, social media. Most people are meeting up online. So they're creating virtual events, they're doing Zoom meetings, they're doing webinars. So the reason why a lot of people that my LinkedIn aren't here is because my network spans over 26 countries that are not here. Facebook, people are not on Facebook to learn about opportunities. They're on there to share their life. So with something like this, almost like an Evite, any kind of business get together that is local is still always going to be good via email, but there's never going to be, as far as I know, I do not think that there's going to be a day, and people can, I want to hear Todd's response as well, but there's never going to be a day. It's getting harder and harder to get people out of their houses and into seats in something like this through social media. Email is the closest thing to warm market marketing that still exists today. So in respect to what you said, I agree. For something like this, this is why you're seeing most people through email, because it's created a community. These are the people that want to come find out about things. So in regards to social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, those are more about drawing attention to what is going on, not necessarily to put bodies in seats, if that makes sense.
Somebody, yes, grab a mic, please. Wait, please grab a mic. Sir, excuse me. I need your charming voice.
Just an observation, and that is that everybody in the room seems to be over 40 as well. So I don't know if, that has anything to do with it as well.
I mean, it may or may not, I think the younger generation may be networking a little bit different. My sister's in a BNI chapter, and a lot of it is word of mouth, belly to belly, who do you know type stuff, like referrals like that. Age, I think it's all about, for me, I was in a BNI group. I was a chapter president for about 3 years. It actually became a distraction for me. And for me personally, it's because, again, I'm about speed and consistency and efficiency. And I wanted to meet new people all the time. And that's not to say anything negative about something like this. I think it's really important to have something like this here for people to come into and network with each other. But I think age does make a difference. I think the younger people that have grown up with social media, they don't know what a meetup group is. They think that's meeting up at a bar, getting some drinks. So
I really disagree with that, but keep going.
But I really think that, when you're looking at the age of where we are right now, a lot of people are looking for what's easiest. And a lot of people log on to a webinar or a Zoom meeting. And for the people that are in network marketing, they've probably seen that better than anybody else. There was a day before social media, people were doing in-home parties. They were doing, come see about my business. And now what do people do? There's a Facebook Live about the opportunity. There's a Zoom about the opportunity. Less and less of things like this happen. I know, the chapter that I was a part of in BNI, I mean, it grows and then people leave, people get busy. But again, I think it really depends upon the person. I love in-person stuff like this, but I also do like having the ability to have an online network as well. So I think above age, I think it really depends on the person.
Question, maybe a little bit related to Don's question, and maybe related to your earlier statement about maybe about 30% or so people respond to LinkedIn messages. What's your opinion on reaching out to a LinkedIn connection via their email address from their contact info if they don't respond to a LinkedIn message?
So I found out the hard way that there are certain things that you can legally or illegally do. So LinkedIn recently changed this. You used to be able to download a CSV file from all your LinkedIn connections, but they've actually taken that away because I didn't know this, but when I first started, I'm like, oh, here's a great way to add all my contacts to my email list. I can download the CSV file and I can import it, and then I can email these people. And then, I mean, a lot of people, I got some FU emails back, but I had one person say that, in Canada, it's actually illegal to do that and you can be prosecuted or whatever. But so I learned my lesson and didn't get prosecuted. But in regards to that, the email addresses are there. I always like to ask permission first, and that's the thing. If they're not going to respond to a message, I don't know how much it will be worth engaging with that person. Again, I don't build my business out of desperation. I'm just a reach out and touch, And if they write back, they write back. If they don't, they don't. So I don't chase. If they don't respond, again, they can be wrapped back around to a happy birthday or congratulations message.
That's a good point. Another question regarding making connections and simply reaching out to people. I've been told many times, add a note, but I'm finding very few people respond when I add a custom note, but I get more and more responses by just doing a send now. What's your opinion on that?
I just send now, and sometimes I feel, and this is just my feeling on it, I do get people that send me a note, and I would rather just get a connection request than getting a connection request saying, hey, we have a lot of mutual connections, would love to be a part of your network. Personally, I don't require that much to accept your connection. If they see something about my profile that they want to connect with, I'll let them do that. So for me personally, I don't add a personal note. I make things personal when they accept, and I send them a nice welcome connecting message. That's the way that I do it.
Great, appreciate that. Also, one more question. At the beginning, you mentioned if you do A, B, and C, you will succeed in LinkedIn.
What's A, B, and C?
Can you summarize?
A, B, and C. So the profile is A. B is messaging people the right way. And C is having the amount of conversations required to have the law of numbers in your favor for the yeses. That's the simple equation.
Do you have templates for these messages that work that you can share?
In some of my courses, I do. In my book, there is a template in there. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So my book.
I'm just trying to help, Scott here. You haven't made your sales pitch yet for your book. Come on, we're running out of time.
So I have some online courses. I have a virtual course. I have one-on-one coaching, but I did bring, I'm giving away 2 books, but I brought about 20 copies. If people do want to purchase, they can here. And in the book, it was a 3-year put together. It's about 103 pages, and it goes over the specifics. There's some case studies in here with some clients, and they shared the results. And there's key takeaway sections after each chapter of what you should take away. And it's a great beginning handbook to learn LinkedIn from afar. And then again, for those that would like to know more specifically, I do work with people one-on-one or virtually through some online courses.
Grab the mic, please.
So are there any businesses where LinkedIn might not be the best for attracting clients? So, and the reason I bring that up, my wife recently started a business as a postpartum doula.
Oh, cool.
So working with women the 4th trimester,
right?
Locally, come home locally, obviously, yeah, because she's going there to help them. But I don't know how, like that, building that network, because she's not on LinkedIn, and I'm a big LinkedIn proponent,
right?
And trying to.
And where are you guys located?
Right here in Jamison, about 15 minutes from here.
So how far would she travel? Tri-state area?
She's going out to Wayne.
Okay.
Yeah, about an hour drive.
So I'll share a short little story. So there was a real estate investor that I worked with, and she splits her time in between Lehigh Valley and Arizona. And she specifically focuses on doing real estate transactions for people, older families parents that are of the age that they're transitioning into retirement homes or old age homes or nursing homes, but the person's lived there for so long, they don't know what to do with the house, and the kids are trying to sell the house. So she swoops in, she buys the property, fixes, and flips, and makes a significant profit. So she was wanting to know how to do that on LinkedIn because it's like you said, that's a very specific thing for your wife. So what I showed her with the search engine, she can actually put in Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania of nursing homes, of retirement communities, and the directors that she needs to talk to. And she got 950 leads in 2 weeks. And she actually, April Crossley, she actually sent me a message, and she said, you literally transformed my business in 3 weeks. I can't even talk to all these people. So because it's so specific, you can type in the greater Philadelphia area, and your wife can, I mean, a lot of people are having babies, but she can meet other doulas or connect with other people in the natal, prenatal, postnatal profession where she can do an introduction. So it can be a resource for her, absolutely. And in regards to who it's the most difficult for, what I have found is that people in financial services do have a challenge just because of all the regulations and compliance. There's a lot of things that need to be run over, but there is a way around anything. It just has to be done more delicately. Jay.
You mentioned posting or videos every day. Are those specifically directed to your connections, and is that more for outreach, or is it so when people go to check you out on your profile, they're finding that you have a lot of activity and content value?
Absolutely. So yeah, you don't want to be a spammer, which is someone that just connects and messages. People do look to see how active you are. And in regards to who does it impact everybody, not just your first connections, but if your first connections engage with it, it shows up in their news feed. So then it spreads to their first connections, which are your second connections. So content on LinkedIn right now spreads much faster and much deeper than other platforms out there right now. And for those that spend a lot of time like Lynn does, LinkedIn will actually show you the analytics of your post. So if you click on your post and it says, 850 people have viewed it, you can click on that bar and it'll actually show you the demographics of the avatar that's looking at it, their location, their job title, and the business that they work for. So you can see exactly who is looking at your content.
And specifically about the video, I know on Facebook there's a big push toward live videos as opposed to just uploaded content. Right. What is the status with LinkedIn? Do they do lives? I wasn't even aware of that.
So LinkedIn Live is in the beta test phase right now. They're picking people. I'm on the whitelist right now. I did fill out an application to do it, but they are going to be going global. I think they said 4 to 6 months. Lynn, did you hear that?
I don't know the stats on that.
Yeah, they did say about 4 to 6 months. They said possibly late third, early fourth quarter this year, everyone's going to have the ability for LinkedIn Live. The beta test is only, they started in US and they've moved into various countries, but hand selecting people. So right now, it still is important to put video up. Video is number one on LinkedIn right now. The number one way to get engagement is through video.
What is LinkedIn Live?
LinkedIn Live is just like Facebook Live. So it's a live feed. So when you go, you can actually go live on your personal news feed where you can invite viewers in within your first, second, and advanced networks. So you can have literally a live conversation with your network. It's just like Facebook Live. But it's going to be LinkedIn Live, and it's going to be the most powerful thing actually to hit social media in the last 5 years. It's going to change the game.
What is the single most valuable piece of business advice you'd like to have given to your 18-and-a-half-year-old self?
Oh, God. That's a great question. There is a solution to any problem that you have. That's the advice I would give myself. Great question. Lynn?
Just want to add a couple things that LinkedIn wants you to stay on the platform as long as possible. So native videos are better than you posting somebody else's video, which sends them out to YouTube or Facebook or whatever it is. Now, I have a question. There's something that I just learned on Friday night, believe it or not. There's a gentleman that told me that he wants to drive more traffic to his LinkedIn company page. And what he does is he takes the posts that he puts on his LinkedIn company page, and at the top left, there are 3 little dots. When you click on that, it gives you a link to embed that post. So just in the past couple days, I've been posting on the company page and then adding some verbiage and using the link from the company page and posting it in the group and then posting it on my homepage. I had no idea about this little trick before Friday night.
Yeah.
So,
well, 2 things. One, to go back to the native video that you're talking about. So there's a great website called savefrom.net. No www.savefrom.net. You can copy any URL, YouTube, Facebook Live, and you can convert it into an MP4 video that you can download to your computer and then upload to LinkedIn. But the video has to be under 10 minutes long. LinkedIn does not allow you to upload videos over 10 minutes. And Lynn, I do have a company page as well. I've only posted a few times, so I didn't know about that, but I will be checking that out and I will report back to you.
So with that though, do you have to worry about copyright and proprietary information and where you're getting the videos from and having permissions?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Facebook Lives, they're my own Facebook Lives that I convert into, so it's my own copyright. So when you go on to YouTube, depending upon the video that you're using, if you click on the info section of the video, it'll say if it's copyrighted or not, which, there's some videos that are evergreen, which people share and take, but you always want to look for that first. It's a great question. Absolutely.
No?
Yes.
You said, go ahead, connect because of the possibility of a second being a potential connection that may work for you.
Correct.
Does that mean that there is no niche, so to speak, with LinkedIn, like in your career area or whatever? Kind of like if you focus on one particular hashtag on Instagram, you become sort of identified with that. Does that happen on LinkedIn? Do you know what I'm describing?
So what I have found is that, just an example, if anyone's familiar with Orange Theory Fitness, it's a fitness chain. So I was doing some split testing, seeing if something like that could happen. So one of my searches one day was just Orange Theory Fitness. And I started connecting with a lot of people from Orange Theory Fitness. The next day I went on, and in the people you may know section, it was a bunch of Orange Theory Fitness people, because typically the way that LinkedIn views it is that I'm going to make sure that since this person is searching and connecting with Orange Theory Fitness people, I'm going to take those people in their networks and put them first for them to see, because people in Orange Theory are typically connected to other people in Orange Theory Fitness. Just like if you searched for Keller Williams real estate agents and you started connecting with a bunch of them, the next day you would see a lot of Keller Williams real estate agents in the people you may know, because LinkedIn will always first extract the second connections from your most recent connections and put them there for you to see. So the people you may know that you're looking at, if you haven't done any specific searches, it's going to basically take the connections that you have, which if some people have been building their networks based off the people they know in real life, you're going to see a lot of people that you maybe went to college with or that you maybe did business with. So depending upon the avatar, you have to decide what kind of network you want to build, and those types of people will continue to appear until you do a new search around that. Does that make sense?
I have a quick question. Lynn had an accelerator course I attended, and she talked about Loom. Is that different than when you're talking about other video capability on LinkedIn?
You like Loom, right? Yeah.
Tell us what Loom is.
Can someone give Nancy the mic?
Yeah, so I actually just started using Loom. I'm more familiar with Zoom, which is a different video recording program. But Loom, what I like about it so far, and I'm not sure what the original question was, but I like that you can actually record your screen and you can do like, you know, basically screenshots, and you can do circles and draw attention to things. You can actually create courses with Loom as well.
Yeah, I mean, I do that with Zoom. You can note things, and that's what I've been using for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I would say the biggest difference with Loom is that you can actually save. I think the Loom icon is up in your window, so it's ease of use. You can like literally like, you know, record the video right away. You know, if you're doing like a training or teaching.
You can do that with Zoom too.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Nancy.
I was looking at your LinkedIn page, and there were
Yes.
2 things came to mind. One, we have 39 connections.
Awesome.
How do you use them in reaching out to other people?
The mutual connections?
Yeah.
I mean, if there's someone that you want to be introduced to, you can reach out to someone and say, hey, I see that you're a mutual connection of so-and-so.
I mean, if you're looking out, if when you go to somebody you want to connect with, and you see how many connections you have, if any,
In common, right?
do you use anything you do in terms of you reaching out and mentioning, hey, we've got these connections or anything like
No,
that?
I mean, some people say that to me. I'm looking to build new relationships on top of ones that I have. So someone will sometimes message me. They'll say, hey, I see that we have some, 15 mutual connections. Or I think that I see that you know so-and-so, would love to connect with you. So sometimes they use a mutual connection to have a better chance of you accepting, but I'm an open book. I'm always looking to connect.
And the other question is, looking at your feed, it looks like you've got the same message, that quote that you created, many times. How many times do you post? I know on Twitter people say you can post the same thing every 2 hours or something, or...
It was, I had an article that was reshared 4 times. So I actually, when someone reshares a post or an article of mine, I always go on and I like their share of my share, and I thank them for doing that. So it's probably you seeing me thank and pay gratitude to the person for sharing it. So I only post it once, and then 4 other people shared it. So I always thank them for doing that.
So you're at 27,000?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
What do you do after you get the next 3,000? Who gets kicked off so you can keep adding more?
It's a great, I was actually thinking about that the other day. I mean, it's just like Facebook, because I hit 5,000 friends on Facebook like 4 years ago. So I'm constantly going in and unfriending people. I'm going to have to kind of play that by ear, because it's tedious to go in and unfriend connections, and I don't really want to do that. But the follow feature does kick in, and you can still engage with your followers the same way that you would a first connection. But that's going to have to be I'll have to see when I cross that bridge. But I don't think I want more than 30,000 connections. I want to impact a lot of people. So I'm probably just going to, whoever, in football, they call the last draft pick Mr. Irrelevant. So that's going to be Mr. or Mrs. Relevant, because that's going to be the start of the follow feature. So we'll have to see. But I'm going to keep it going.
But Scott, you've made quite a business using LinkedIn. Please pay for it. Come on now. I mean, I'm sure you can afford the monthly fee.
Oh, I mean,
what's the reticence about, giving these guys their daily bread, given how successful you've been with their platform?
They're eating really, really well.
I'm sure they are, but
and
so are you.
And God
bless you.
We all should. Thank you. My whole thing is, you can't quantify a value on the content that someone puts out. The value of the content that I'm putting out, the way that I'm leaving people better in the lives that I'm impacting, you can't put a dollar amount on that. So I'm sure they're very appreciative of what I'm doing on the platform and what I teach others to do.
So you're not going to?
I'm not going to pay.
You're not going to pay?
I'm not going to pay. That's a
Tell me why.
no.
What's the psychological underpinning of that theory?
I don't believe for paying for connections. I don't believe for paying for human connection. If there is a free version of it, I'm going to take full advantage of it.
Over 30,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have connections on LinkedIn.
I have a therapist that I'd like you to talk to.
I have a great one. I already talked to. I think everyone has a different theory behind social media. It's something that I've spent the last, 6 years really looking into.
People are paying you to help them make connections.
Correct. And to create human connection, which is the most valuable thing that you can have, because there is so much, the business is not done on LinkedIn. The business is actually done offline when you make that connection.
Okay. I'm just giving you a hard time.
You can, Don, bring it. I'm good.
Oh, don't say that to me. Any other questions for Scott? Nick, give him a hard time. Go ahead. Grab a microphone, please. Yes, go ahead.
I've got 34 million followers, okay? You only have 30,000. No big deal, okay? I want to know, how do I link my Twitter to LinkedIn and all these other stuff? Can you tell me how to do that?
Very easy. You literally just go to your account settings and you can link your Twitter handle and your Facebook handle to it. So in regards to articles, when you do an article, you can actually share it to 2 other social media platforms at the same time. So when I write my articles, I send them out onto Twitter and I send them onto Facebook as well. But in regards to the native video with Facebook, people just like LinkedIn, they want you staying on the platforms as possible. So if you are going to share an article from LinkedIn to Facebook, make sure it's in a private group that you're a part of where people are already engaging. That's a great question.
It's great. Thank you.
Lynn, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to call out Ella here. Ella, you want to raise your hand? Okay. So Ella did something kind of cool, and now that I'm thinking about this, I don't know, it may not be cool for the algorithm. She wrote an article and she put it as a blog on her website. She took part of the article and put it in LinkedIn and then said to read more, and then it went to the website. So when I think about it, that's pretty clever as far as driving traffic to the website. But do you think LinkedIn is maybe punishing in some way, shape, or form because the algorithm is making them go off of the LinkedIn platform?
I mean, it is very clever. I'm always looking for ways to draw more SEO and get people to a website. That's why you'll see a lot of people, even in messages, leave their website for people to go to. But just like any other social media platform, these platforms want you to stay on those platforms. The articles can go viral in another way. I'm a big split tester. So what I would suggest is maybe write some articles that are just straightforward on LinkedIn, not taking them back to your website, and then do a string of articles that cut off halfway and then say, read more, go to my website, and just see what's getting a better response. Because all social media, they tell you what's working. Someone asked me the other day, what was the best engagement you got from a post? And it was an article that I still get engagement on today. And I wrote it August of last year, and it got around 14,000 likes, about 800 comments, and 1,700 shares. And it was just about leadership. It was the body, like it was a Pele quote, and the body of the message was 6 lines. That's it. So it's not about how much you do, it's the impact of the message that you have. But I would do a split test. That's what I'm always doing videos and seeing, if I tag some people, does it work, or certain hashtags. So always look at the analytics of your engagement to see what's working and replicate that. So I would recommend doing both to see what works best.
So on May 17th, I was at a SCORE Women's Symposium, and I had posted an article in the morning because we were talking about the importance of networking. I had taken an HBR, Harvard Business Review article, and posted it in response to this conversation we were having. As of a couple weeks ago was the last time I kind of checked. It had 116,000 views. So many, lots of shares. I don't know about quite as many as you had, but it was the 116,000 views. I've never, ever had anything go bonkers like that before. The most I've had is like 10,000 or 14,000.
Yeah.
Like I just won an award last week, and that's got 11,000 views already, which is pretty cool. But one thing that I did learn through a little platform called 30 Days Social, so it's hashtag 30DS, they talked about posting just text only. And when I posted a funny story about getting egg in my face for something stupid I did on LinkedIn when I was instructing a class, I got 10,000 views from that. So just text. There was no hashtags. There was no tagging, no pictures, no images, no video, no nothing. So have you tried the text only?
Sometimes, but not without the hashtags. And sometimes I'll put emojis. I'm always doing split tests, and I'm always looking. Go ahead.
And do you have an idea of how many hashtags do you typically use on LinkedIn?
Up to 10. 5 to 10 is my, that's what I usually stick with.
Have you read anything research-wise about what
the hashtags do?
Yeah. No, about the number of hashtags that are successful.
So I don't necessarily think it's the number of hashtags. I think it's the relevancy to the post. So when I went back and I saw that I had one of the top trending posts in the hashtag leadership, I went back and I wanted to view, because I always use leadership. And it was actually a post where it was just text. There was no picture. And I had 10 lines and it said leadership is, and then I talked about, and I said leadership is, leadership is, leadership is, leadership is. And then the hashtags were a bunch of leadership type hashtags. So I think the more relevant of the hashtag to the content, it'll do the same thing. With, I had one in hashtag business, and it was funny. It was a video, and it was one of the top trending videos in hashtag business. So I think that it really has to do with the content you're putting in there, but also the relevancy of the hashtags that you're using. And I'm like you, I'm always trying to see, should you use more? Sometimes I'll put the hashtags in the body of the message. So instead of just writing a word, I'll put a hashtag in front of it to make the word in the body a hashtag, so it's in the midst of it. So LinkedIn, I don't want to say they're 5 steps ahead, but any social media platform is going to tell you what is and what's not working. My simple thing, and I would take Lynn's advice as well, making sure that you use them. So try everything. Try just doing text. Try doing text with 5 to 10 hashtags. Try doing a post with a picture, hashtags, and words. Try just doing text and a picture. So it's always good to do your own split test. You don't have to pay someone to do that for you. You can do it yourself and see what your network responds best to. Because what I have found, Lynn, is that all it has to do is get into the right hands of the right influential person within your network that shares it out, that shares it out, that shares it out, that shares it out.
Yeah. In my case, for the Harvard Business Review post, LinkedIn even actually liked my post, and I'd never had that happen before. So that made my day.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, they thank us in many ways.
Okay, we're running out of video card space here, so any final questions before we do the business card drawing for the free books? Any final questions for Scott? Okay, Tom, where are you? Yep. Tom, okay, grab the tin of business cards, and Scott's fiance is going to do a blind draw, I hope. Not you being blind, but don't pre-select a card. Mix them all up, Tom, right? This is like the Powerball contest.
Bring me 2, Vanna.
Yeah, Vanna White's going to bring 2 cards. All right. You have to smile, sashay a little bit. Hey, oh, that was rigged. I'm sure that was rigged. There you go. Let's give our winners a round of applause. Okay, and we'll charge you guys extra for the next time. Scott, do you have any final words of wisdom before we call the evening?
Just really just grateful for this opportunity, for obviously Don for having me here and for Lynn inviting me and making the connection. And I really hope that I just left you guys feeling a little bit better about LinkedIn and the possibilities of it. And I'm an open book, so I'm always glad to connect with people online or offline. And I do have some extra copies of books if anyone is interested, and don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you guys so much.
And remind me what I'm going to send out to everybody so they can reach out to you?
Yes.
Then we'll get the round of applause.
All the information, the slides, the free infographic for your profile, a link where you can get the Kindle version of the book or order online, and also a way to schedule a free 15-minute discovery call will be sent out. That was in the original email, so you guys will all be getting that.
Yeah, great. Let's give Scott a great round of applause. Thanks very much, Scott. Great job.